What up, everybody? We got some new Cosmic Crucible rules and a new season starting next week. So I figured now would be a good time to talk about some defensive rooms, some nightmare teams that I've kind of thought up, and just some overall advice to give, given the new rules. And we'll talk about all that and a little bit more right now. Let's go get into it. Starting with Stage 1 and 2, the global rules. And let me go ahead and read off what these global rules are to you. And they're pretty crazy. They're going to really change how we approach this Cosmic Crucible season. So we'll start with the less important stuff. Defending characters have 20% health and 10% extra damage. Pretty basic. It is what it is. Here's a more fun one. On turn, hero mutants clear revive once and immunity from all enemies. Not just from one enemy who has it, from all enemies. This essentially makes your Dormammu lose probably 50% of his value on defense, nudging you to use Dormammu on offense, which I think is great. It's more fun. It's going to help us deal with some of these hero mutant teams that you might find on defense. And the reason I'm talking about hero mutants is because this last rule, they're going to gain 50% damage, 15% damage reduction, 100% focus, and 500% resist in all rooms. Insane. That basically makes them the equivalent of what Stage 4 was in the last season. But you're going to notice I'm not going to have a lot of hero mutant teams up here on defense because they're power crept, so they're not very tricky. You're just going to be bringing in teams that blow them up instead of control them. Like, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. So for Stage 1 and 2, I think your turtle options are going to be Infinity Watch and Darkhold, but with Bishop instead of Red Guardian. Infinity Watch starts with that Safeguard, the immunity, and the Revive once. So the Revive once will get flipped off even through Safeguard if there's a hero mutant who takes a turn. It doesn't have that Safeguard check. The immunity, on the other hand, will stay. So Infinity Watch do have that 1 or 2 turns, whatever it is, where they're still safe from debuffs, and I think that makes them a good candidate to be put as a turtle team. So I think people will be mistaken, take X Factor in here or a regular Uncanny team, and they could just get popped off by a unfortunate tunnel. And I think that'll happen within the first few weeks. The more interesting option here, and I don't suggest you put this team here. We'll talk about where I suggest you put them later. Darkhold with Bishop. I'm always going to try and mix up Bishop and Gambit for some reason. So if I say that, please forgive me. Bishop will not stop Unlimited X-Men team from coming in here and crushing you. The Unlimited X-Men team with that 500% resistance is just going to hard counter Darkhold even more than before. Great, cool, fantastic, whatever. But with more people having Dormammu on offense, what Bishop does is he stops these Dormammu counters. He's going to take away immunity. He's going to take away revive from Dormammu. That takes away 50% of his value. We just talked about that. But what else does he do? He stops Dormammu's teammates from being able to reach and control the Morgan. You cannot bring a Zemo in here. Zemo will passively hit the Bishop, and then he's going to have to attack the Bishop because, let's be real, Zemo's not peeling that taunt off Bishop with Bishop having this new 500% resistance. Bishop will then retaliate, and with the 15% damage and defense up, I'm not sure your Zemo is going to do 20% of Bishop's health as damage, which means Bishop is just going to reapply his taunt. So I think this is going to greatly protect this Darkhold team from teams like Spider-Woman, Dormammu, Emma, Kestrel, whatever you've been using, right? So I think that's a great turtle team. More balanced approach, you're going to have your Wakandans and your Young Avengers. Now, Wakandans are susceptible to getting their immunity taken off and then controlled better, like they have not been able to be in the past 2 seasons. So you might be thinking, no sweat, I'll bring my Uncanny in here. Maybe they'll win because Uncanny can beat this team in war. And now that we have all these great buffs to resistance, focus, damage reduction, we might get through it. Black Panther, Killmonger, Okoye, and M'Baku hit so hard, so fast. I think a lot of people with half belt or 3/4 built Uncanny teams are going to go in here and be sorely surprised. So I'd be careful with that, and that's why I do like them as a balanced option. The Young Avengers, they do lose a lot of value against these mutants, but I think they are still a costly efficiency team. I think you're going to have to take a lot of turns, you're going to have a lot of problems getting them under control, and they're going to cost you efficiently, so I like the Young Avengers there. If you're just offensive-minded and you don't care about having any kind of defense that holds, here Asgardian Bionic Avengers will fit in here. They're silly enough that they trip up some people who are not super in the know, and they'll get you some silly wins without costing you too much on the offensive side, because I don't think we're going to see that full Web Warrior team too much here. Okay, moving on to Stage 3. Now, Stage 3 is kind of funny because there's a stupidly obvious team to put in here. It is your new Tangled Web team. Let's talk about why that is. So the Spider-Mania room, it's going to give your characters Safeguard and Deflect, 2 of them, 2 turns, if you will, on spawn. So what that means is your Web Warrior team can have Safeguard and 2 Deflects. And the Bionic Avengers will not care whatsoever. They will still destroy your Web Warriors without a doubt. Do not think putting Web Warriors in here will get you a win. It will not. But as soon as a Tangled Web team comes out, that changes, especially when just Weaver comes out. That's going to change how some things work. And she is coming out before the season starts, so people are going to have her built. But when the full team is out, I think the Turtle option is with Eternals, a balanced option is with Cloak and Dagger, and an offensive-minded person should just throw in Symbiote Spider-Man Antivenom with them. This team, this 3-piece, will catch you some wins. I'm not sure how the mirror matchup will work on offense. This is going to be how you win or lose this Crucible season, is figuring out how to use Tangled Web or how to beat Tangled Web without using them. So it's going to be interesting. I think that's like 25% of what's going to decide this season. I think Stage 6 will decide the other 75%. Then we move on to Stage 4, and then we're getting to some fun things. So Latent Power, on end of turn, global heroes gain offense up. So Unlimited here, fit crazy. Yes, they do get offense up from a bunch of other sources, so it's a bit redundant. But Gambit in particular, because his passive forces him to go pretty quickly, he's then going to have offense up, and his pings prior to Sunfire are still going to have offense up, and he's just going to tear through people. So I like Unlimited as the Turtle team here. Though again, I would not put Unlimited in this room. I would put them in room 6 if you're going to put them on defense at all, which I think a lot of people are, and a lot of people aren't. I think that's going to be like a 50-50 split on how you use Unlimited. For a more balanced approach, I like the Gamma team. X-23 is only here until Red Hulk is released, and then Red Hulk goes there. She basically stops Dormammu from coming in here and destroying your Gamma team. And she's going to be really strong in her own right. If the Gamma team survives the opening burst, because they don't get speed up outside of war, if they survive the opening burst and start doing damage, X-23 is going to really start hurting people. She's going to get that offense up before she does her ultimate. I can see that being pretty scary, so I do like that team there. Another balanced approach is your Uncanny. So again, Cyclops, when he does his ultimate, presumably he's going to have offense up already because, well, Phoenix will hopefully have died, right? So this is kind of like you might get one defensive win out of this. But with the offense up, Storm, when she does her ultimate, is going to have offense up now. No one's going to survive that. Magic is going to absolutely smack people with offense up on her second turn as well. So I like Uncanny there. They get those global buffs. I think if you are going to put mutant teams on defense, you want to double up. You don't want to put them in rooms 1, 2, or 3. And the reason you don't want to do that is because I'd rather them get offense up at the end of their turn and have 500% resist and focus and whatever else. And then for an offensive option, I like the Astonishing with Yo-Yo in place of Kitty. Yo-Yo's going to get a very quick offense up from her first turn, and her passive is much more likely to hit. Then you have the Astonishing X-Men members doing what they do best, right? They're going to sustain. They have all this extra focus, damage reduction. Beast is going to keep popping back. Definitely want to make Beast a healer if you're putting this on defense. And it could be a nightmare for efficiency. The reason I would put them on defense, and I probably will have them on defense, because even with these changes, I don't think Astonishing are going to be popping off and beating your Infinity Watch, your Darkhold, or your Gamma, or anything like that. I think that'll be a trap some people fall for because they just have a very big Astonishing. I think they're going to be good, don't get me wrong. They might catch a win here and there, but I don't see them being like the top 5 offensive team now. Hey guys, while I was editing this, I thought of some teams that I wanted to give mentions to as to why they don't make this list. And the reasons, and I know some people are going to bring this up right away if I didn't do this, is Wakandans, Bionic Avengers, Young Avengers. Those 3 teams don't make it into the conversation for Stage 4 because they get offense up after their first turns anyway. So the way Stage 4 works is it's at the end of your first turn that character gets offense up. So Okoye is going to attack and she's going to get offense up. Cool. Black Panther is going to use his special, and then he's going to give offense up to everybody anyway. So it's redundant. There's no point in it. Same with Bionic Avengers. Deathlock's going to take his first turn. That gives offense up to everybody. So it was redundant to put them in this room. And Young Avengers, they spawn with it. So if you're wondering why those three teams didn't make it in the conversation for this one, that's why. Then we got Stage 5, Biological Temperament. So the turtle option here, I think, is Gamma. And again, X-23 gets replaced by Red Hulk. If you're going to put Gamma on defense, I think you do it in this room. This is basically going to help them survive bursts and then go forward. So what does Biological Temperament do? On turn, bio characters apply offense down to a random enemy without offense down. So when Red Hulk is in the game, he's bio. He goes super quick. I think he has 133 or 131 speed. Something ridiculous like that was confirmed to us. So he's going to get a quick offense down out there. A-Bomb's chilling, I think, 121, and Brawn at 118. So they're not a slow team, even without that speed up they get in war. And then from there, you get stuck in that Hulk, She-Hulk, trap of death with those taunts back and forth. So I think that offense down will help them get to the point they need to get to. And at the very worst, it's just going to help you ruin someone's efficiency. So I do like Gamma as the primary turtle option in Room 5. For more balanced option, and I think this is where I'll put my Young Avengers if I have them on defense, I like them here, and I kind of like Miles in with them because he's another bio option. But you should look for yourself, see what Chavez brings to the team, right? She does like health, buff strips, defense down. Squirrel Girl tends to call her in for the assist because she has the highest damage on the team usually. So decide between yourselves there. I kind of like Miles. I like that extra offense down. And then we have three characters, right? We have Squirrel Girl, Miss Marvel, and Miles all giving offense down on their turn, which I think is great. You have other sources of offense down, so it might appear a little redundant with Squirrel Girl Ultimate, her basic, her striker attack if you went that route, Kate flipping things, stuff like that. But I do like Young Avengers here. Another option would be A-Force. I kind of like A-Force better on offense, though, because you can target better. In this room, Spider-Woman, she's going to go first, or sorry, Nico's going to go first, flip some defense ups for you, which is great. Spider-Woman then goes, depending how the AI targets her, she might only hit one or two, she might only hit at minimum two people, right? If she hits in one of the back corners, then it goes down to the corner. So passively from this room, she'll put one out there, then she's going to get at least two more, or not two more, at least one more, and then Captain Marvel will go after her, putting out another one. So at minimum, you're going to get 3 offense downs from this team. This team has a lot of synergy just with focus from Surfer, giving that 50% because the Cosmic Hero, Cosmic Ally. So I just like this team as a potential, burst the enemy and cause issues for them. But I do think this team would probably be beaten by some of these power crept hero mutant teams. Like X Factor Zemo might come in here and just destroy this team. So that's something to keep an eye out for. You notice I don't have X Factor on defense in any room because they don't play themselves properly on defense. Just the resistance in that alone, I don't think is going to protect them as much as you would hope. And so they don't make this list. But going forward, we have the offensive team, Web Warriors, but with Symbiote Spider-Man over Punk. Now, this is obviously if you haven't slid this team into Room 3 for whatever reason. This is just to sap efficiency. This team will get absolutely slaughtered by Bionic Avengers still, but it might take a couple extra turns. So pretend, if you will, Miles gets to go before Deathlock, get some disrupts out there. He also does an offense down because of this room. And then all the Spider people get offense downs out there. Basically, what this does is it'll make Deathlock hit with offense down, making his bleed not hit so hard. It'll make Vision hit with offense down, making whatever he does not hit so hard. And then Viv Vision flips it. So Iron Man and Hulkbuster and Viv herself are still hitting you with offense up. I still think you die pretty quickly. But there's a world where this may make it take an extra turn or two. And I think that's all it would do. But for that reason, I find them to be a good offensive option. And just speaking of which, Stage 3, I think you treat it like Stage 1 and 2 until you have your Spider Weaver built up and the Tangled Web team is out. But moving on to the Nightmare Fuel Room, Stage 6. I've had a lot of people suggest that they're going to just smash this through legendaries, and I guess we should explain why that is. Legendary characters gain 50% damage, nuts. Legendary characters on spawn gain 3 turns of defense up and safeguard, nuts. The way it reads is 3 turns of defense up and safeguard. Normally they specify if safeguard is for 3 turns, but I think it's safe to say safeguard is for 3 turns. On turn, legendary characters remove all negative effects from themselves and gain speed up. It's that line right there that is the most terrifying. So the 50% damage is nuts, crazy, but it's the clearing of buffs on their turn plus speed up that I think is more scary. And that leads me to this turtle team. People say smash all your legendaries on one team and it'll be crazy. Maybe so, but then I think you've crippled your roster to the point where I can efficiently clear out the rest of your teams. And I'm not sure if you have Rogue, Morgan, Red Hulk, who else? Omega Red. If you have all of them on defense, I'm not sure you're going to be able to beat my just Darkhold with Gambit. So we might be down to a 5-room standoff anyway, and I think I'll clear the rest of your rooms more efficiently, being that I didn't overstack one team. So I don't think that's the good approach. But just a couple of them together is a nightmare. So, full turtle option, unlimited with Morgan. Now, you might think, well, I'll unlimited this with a speed advantage, and I'll get an extra ability block out there for Morgan. Okay, but we don't know how this works. Maybe you get an extra stun on Morgan, but we don't know how it works. You get to control the enemy rogue, right? She has trauma. Presumably trauma will stop her from clearing all her stuff before she goes. Cool. But Morgan, you get a stun on her or an ability block on her before her turn. Does she remove the negative effect, like stun, before her turn? So it says on turn. Normally when something is on turn, they still get their turn after. So if I stun your Morgan, does she just clear it and take her turn anyway? Unless she has trauma? In which case, how can you manipulate the speed to the point where the enemy Morgan is going to get a trauma and an ability block, or a trauma and a stun? I don't think that's in the game yet. I don't think so. So I think this will be an absolute nightmare team. We'll see it when it goes live. I do think, just by virtue of it being in this video, a couple people use it and we'll get reports of how it works. But I do think this is going to be the most efficient use if you want to break up legendary teams. Like if you throw Phoenix in this room, I don't think that's a terribly great idea because she's like a one-time character anyway. She can be stopped by somebody like Kestrel. Just not feeling that. And I don't feel like shoving 5 legendaries in. I think that'd be terrible. But this would be my turtle option. And breaking up Darkhold and Limited into one team already feels pretty dirty. For a more balanced option, we saw this in stage 1 and 2 as a turtle team option. And this will be where I put my Darkhold. I do think Darkhold do need to be on defense. I think they cause efficiency issues. They cause RNG issues. Like I said, Unlimited will still smash this. But if someone has their Unlimited in this room instead, I think this causes a lot of issues with Morgan. 50% extra damage and being protected from debuffs that aren't accompanied by trauma. Just nuts. So yeah, this is my balanced option. This will be what I go with. And as an offensive option, I've already kind of talked enough trash about Astonishing X-Men on offense. So I would throw them on defense here, and I'd accompany them with a Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman, she's, you're not going to be able to control her. She's going to spawn with Safeguard and Defense Up, which is great. She's then going to give you barriers, offense down to the enemy, cleanses, stuff like that. So she kind of helps the Astonishing X-Men team do what they do in raids better. Barriers, offense down, cleanses, some retaliates here and there. So I think that's a very easy sacrifice to make to my roster to throw them on defense. And yeah, that's what I have so far for these 6 stages. I think it'll be a thing that evolves as we go. But as always, guys, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys are having a good start to your week. And stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll check you guys later.